Zohran Mamdani, the most Christ-like politician ever. Okay, let's discuss that. All right, so there's this self-avowed Methodist pastor. Ugh, all kind of things to say about that. She wants to tell you that Zohran Mamdani, the newly elected New York City mayor, is the most Christ-like politician ever. I have a little bit of an issue whenever he walks out in front of an audience and says, this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is such a pleasure to be here alongside so many friends and so many for whom today is the first time I'm having the opportunity to meet you.
When you're going to come out and say Salam Alaikum, Allah Akbar, I got a little problem with that when you're going to say that he is the most Christ-like politician ever. I'm not so sure about that. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. Here's his commentary on old Zohran. Play the clip.
Night, he wins this big victory. He is a Marxist. He also, obviously, is an Islamist as well, which is increasingly becoming hat in hand around the world. And then a couple days later, down in Florida, we've established November 7th as a day to remember the victims of communism. That's the anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. And so I have people who have fled communism, and they say, you know what? Those promises remind me of what Castro was selling back in the day. I remember these guys trying to say that. And then what happened to this great island? It became a communist prison. And so we're working hard in Florida to educate our kids about the evils of Marxism and Leninism. And yes, there's less freedom, less opportunity. Mark, there's 100 million dead in the 20th century as a result of Marxism, Leninism.
Yeah, it sounds very Christ-like whenever you're going to come out and openly say that I am a democratic socialist. That's what Mamdani has said. I don't know if you guys are aware of history, but even Vladimir Lenin said that socialism, the purpose of it was to lead to communism. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to this so-called pastor. I'm telling you, bobbed hair, bossy wives, and women preachers, man, it'll get you in trouble every time. Here's this female pastor that wants to tell you. Well, let's just let her tell you. Play the clip.
Zohran Mamdani might be one of the most Christ-like political figures in our American system right now. And hear me out. I'm Blair. I'm a pastor, a parent, and a professor of theology. And I understand that Zohran is Muslim. That's not the point here. The point here is the way that Zohran describes his own philosophy of the government. In a recent interview with The Daily and the New York Times, he said, what democratic socialism means is a belief that it is government's job to ensure that every person is living a life of dignity. And dignity is not the things that you'd like, it's not the things that you'd want, and it's the things that you need. I'm going to say that one more time. The government's job is to ensure that every person is living a life of dignity. And when I read the scriptures and look at what Jesus does for people in his ministry, it is ensure them a life of dignity. It's to heal people who've been exiled because of their illness or their disability. It's to feed people when they're hungry. It's to see children as beloved and to belonging to the community instead of as property or possessions. It's to see women the same way. Jesus ensures a life of dignity for all those he meets. And so if you want to talk about instituting a Christian government, I would pay attention to what Zohran Mamdani is doing. Because what he is describing is a Christ-like system of government where we are all assured the basic necessities for human dignity. And I think that looks like the kingdom of God.
Hey guys, we're going to get right back to the video, but before we do, I want to remind you that when inflation jumps and you hear that the national debt is over $37 trillion, do you ever sit back and think maybe now would be a good time to buy some gold? Whether it's a hedge against inflation or peace of mind during global instability or just sensible diversification, Birch Gold Group has every American covered where you can be backed by physical gold. They created something special just for our listeners. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free medals on qualifying purchases to claim eligibility and start the process. Request an info kit now by texting CHAD, I spell it Chad, to the number 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you with an existing IRA or 401k by rolling it over into IRA backed by gold, folks. You're still eligible for the rebate and free metals up to $10,000. Birch Gold is the only precious metals company that I trust, as do tens of thousands of their customers. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. So text Chad to 989898. Let our friends over at Birch Gold help you right now. You think, but I think you're wrong. Okay, so first of all, the role of government is not to make sure everybody feels dignity. That's not the role of government. But you have to admire the level of delusion that it takes to stack this crap up this high and then put it out to the general public as pablum and think you sound educated. You're going to take Zohran Mamdani, a guy who's shaping up to be a career politician, that eventually they're going to float on the national level, just watch and see, and you're going to put him up next to the sinless Son of God and call it a tie? What are we doing here? I mean, have we reached such a low point in moral literacy that even being mildly nice in public now equates to walking on water? And the guy has accomplished nothing, zero. He made a lot of promises, but he hasn't followed up on any of them. He won't be able to. Communism never does. Socialism never does. Listen, Jesus didn't need a communications team or a taxpayer-funded office or a focus group. He didn't do polls. He didn't ask, how's this playing in Queens? How's our messaging in the boroughs? He was the message. Truth wrapped in flesh, no spin, no filter. You either accepted him as the truth. It was through him that people got dignity, not through his policies. And yeah, the man healed the sick and forgave sins. Our modern Christ-like heroes can't even forgive a bad tweet at this point. Christ laid down his life for the world, and these folks won't even lay down their phones long enough to hear anybody who disagrees with them. Now, Mamdani, maybe he's a nice enough guy. I don't know. Probably pure evil walking on feet. But you know what? Here's a guy who's apparently worked real hard. They've set him up as a puppet. He's made it into office, and now he's going to pitch every feel-good, soft-serve socialist dream that the internet can conjure up and applaud. Free this, free that, justice for all, dignity, dignity. All these beautiful slogans that somehow always come with a bigger government invoice stapled to the back. Even Governor Kathy Hochul said, he's not going to be able to do any of that stuff because it's too expensive. You got a dude that talks like compassion is a policy that you can print money for. But here's the truth. Jesus didn't need to raise taxes to feed 5,000 people. He just multiplied what was already there. That's divine economics, not bureaucratic welfare. So if you're going to call him Christ-like, let's review the resume. He hadn't healed the dead. He hadn't healed a leper. He hasn't forgiven any adulterers. Preach love to the enemies who are about to crucify him. No, I guarantee you mess with that political pawn and you're going to catch the horns of the bull. Watch and see. He's not humble. He's not meek. And you're gonna talk about how capitalism is mean. Listen, if that's the new bar for holiness and dignity, then Twitter is basically the new Mount of Olives, okay? And here's the problem with our generation. We've replaced righteousness with rhetoric, and we think that that's some kind of holy spiritual piety, and confuse virtue with virtue signaling. Christ didn't need applause. He walked into the crowds that hated him. They crucified him, but he still told the truth anyway. That's what real leadership looks like. So no, I just because a guy preaches some kind of dignity, some kind of compassion, well, compassion without truth. See, Jesus preached compassion with truth. Mamdani just compassion. There's no truth built in until the bills come due. So just because you get ratioed on social media doesn't mean you're being persecuted. So calm down, hero. You're not being crucified, brother. You're being criticized. There's a massive difference in that. So when Jesus said the last shall be first, he was talking about humility, not redistribution. When he said love your neighbor, he didn't mean elect me so I can love your neighbor with your money. Compassion isn't Christ-like when it's compulsory. Charity that's mandated by the state is legalized guilt. Jesus gave freely because his heart was overflowing with grace, not because some assemblyman drafted a bill. And you know what else? Hey, Christ's kingdom isn't built on campaigns. It's built by convictions. And it's not about who's trending. It's about who's transforming. So listen to me, pastor. You can't legislate righteousness any more than you can tax your way into holiness. Yet that's exactly what these modern political preachers are selling you. It's gospel without God, salvation through social programs, and morality that's outsourced to bureaucracy. Now, I ain't knocking people that want to do good, but I am knocking the arrogance of pretending that you're divine for trying. And being Christlike isn't about passing laws. It's about living the truth. And Mamdani's not living the truth, lady. And I would question you being a professor of theology at whatever XYZ school. Let's have that debate. I'm happy to do it. Because Christlikeness is not about redistributing wealth. It's about redistributing grace. And I'm not seeing that in New York City. It's not about shouting justice through a megaphone. It's showing mercy when nobody else is watching, folks. So if you really want to know what Christ-like politics looks like, and no, we didn't ask for Christian government. We want Christ to be Lord over the government. Because that looks like servant leadership. It looks like common sense. It looks like wisdom and revelation. Men and women who'd rather wash the feet of the people that they've been elected to serve rather than stand on their backs and their necks. Because that's truth without compromise and conviction, without the ego, and compassion without the control and the narrative and the agenda. That's Christ-like. You show me that, and then we'll agree on something. And we don't have those people in the government. We don't have those kind of people that survive in systems that are built on power and pride. So no, the same system that's elevating Zohran Mamdani is the system that crucified Jesus Christ. So we'll see where it goes. But I still tend to believe that Jesus is the one who's delivering on his promises, not some socialist Muslim politician screaming Allah Akbar. All right? Jesus didn't run for office. Let that sink in. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Tune in to the Chad Prather Show. Check me out every morning before the noise in all the places. We're talking, making some common sense common again. I love you guys. God bless you.